Going for a 4-4-2.
He didn't know what was going on in the room.
Phyllis managed to refrain from swearing.
He said, if you've got a problem with me, let's sort it out in the gym.
He's actually defending well. Look, the thing is...
Oh, come on! Come on! Where has that come from?
Yeah.
They brought through the door. Yeah, look at the...
What a performance! The guys.
That was ruled off. Quite a stupid thing, but
Live from Style Space at the Supporters Club. Right.
But he was getting a bit tired, I thought.
Come on! Here we go! Come on!
Come on! Yeah! Go! Go! Good evening and welcome back to Irons United for our match preview. Of course, West Ham take on Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday. And of course, Tottenham are looking to build on their impressive run of form prior to the international break. During a grueling run of 4 games in 8 days, Spurs secured wins in the Carabao Cup, Europa League, and picked up 4 points in 2 league fixtures, including the 6-1 thrashing of Manchester United at Old Trafford. West Ham are in equally impressive form, scoring 7 goals and conceding zilch 0. Yes, that is right, 0 goals in victories against Wolves and Leicester last time out. My name is Anton. I am joined by Matt. Matt, Tottenham Hotspur. Let me know what your thoughts are.
It's one of them, isn't it? It's you never know what you're going to get. You know it's going to be a fiery London derby. You hope you don't lose. That's the get out from the start. You'd love to win, but for me, I hope I don't lose. But you know it's going to be 2 teams in form. They're playing good football, so everyone's going to be in for a treat. It's going to be a cracking game. To be fair.
It really is, yeah. Like we said, Tottenham have come off a fantastic run of form, and West Ham as well. So, it's not very often you get the two of us at the same time meeting in the middle, and it's definitely going to be an interesting time. But listen, without further ado, we'd be as well doing what we've been doing all season, which has been bringing on an opposition fan, a good friend of the channel. He's not been on for a while, but we'll bring on the Tottenham Hotspur fan, and it's George. George, how you doing? You okay?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, George. George, just fill everyone in on like your channel, etc., and how it's all been going.
Yeah, so my channel is my name is George Achillia, and obviously been doing a lot of Spurs. Well, pre-pandemic, was doing a lot of Spurs vlogs, going to and from almost all the away games. I think in the previous season, I only missed 2 games all season, and it was Watford and Bournemouth away, just because I couldn't get a ticket. Apart from that, I think I went to all the home and away games in Europe and stuff. So trying to just show my journey to everyone, and obviously kind of been doing the watch-alongs as most people have been doing since we've been stuck at home. And yeah, been doing pretty well. Just over 62,000 subs now. So
yeah, absolutely, mate.
Really
you make our channel look really, really tiny.
Well, that's what Spurs are here to do, trying to become like the bigger man.
Hold on a second, George. Right, that's George gone for the day. No, I'm only joking, mate.
Can't get rid of me that easily.
Listen, mate. Thanks for joining us. Obviously, we'll have a link in the description below for George's channel. If you're a West Ham fan, you want to go and check out some Tottenham content, then you are crazy. But anyway,
well, I mean, plenty of good Spurs West Ham games. You might want to maybe not relive, but
yeah, that is true. But listen, there's a lot of talk. I mentioned there in the intro about the kind of good run of form
Tottenham are in, and of course West Ham are in, but obviously you're here to talk about Tottenham. And of course this man, that maybe Mourinho's made a hint about of coming back in and maybe getting some game time at the weekend is Gareth Bale. What's your thoughts first and foremost on the signing, and do you see him making getting some game time?
Oh, first of all, I think it's what every Spurs fan wanted or needed, even just to like kind of relive and just feel great about the club again, because it's always been a signing every single year for the past, when did we sign, like 7 years ago now, that is kind of like, oh, we've always been that one player away. Maybe when that in the 16-17 season when we came second or like third back to back, it was kind of like we've always been that one player away from maybe winning something major, and that conversation has always led to Gareth Bale being that one player. It's like, oh, if we had him back, we would have done X, Y, and Z. And at this point, it just kind of was like, well, oh, great. Rumors are surfacing again. Bale, never going to happen. Too much money. And then all of a sudden, in one day, it just quickly spiraled into this, oh, hold on, he's actually coming back to Spurs. What is happening? I think he just finally got to a point in his career where it's like, all right, he's had enough money. He's won so much with Real Madrid. It's like, what else is there left to do apart from actually feel good playing again? And you saw him messing around, like putting like the face mask over his eyes, like falling asleep on the bench. I think he just wanted to play football again. And I think Spurs was probably the right home for him. Luckily, he managed to get a loan deal done for it, which I've no doubt will probably end up buying him or loaning him until the end of his contract again. But it felt amazing to have him back. And I think he will definitely be involved. The admin on Twitter and everything for Spurs have been hinting at Bale coming back again, because they've been pumping out Bale content non-stop this week, basically hinting at him playing. So with what I've heard, he's been smashing it. So if he starts, I would not be surprised. But he definitely will be involved in this game in some aspect.
I think elsewhere, though, in the side, you're looking at maybe, is it Eric Dyer? As he withdrew from the England squad as well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what do you think of the other signings that Tottenham have made? Of course, yesterday, transfer deadline day, you brought in Joe Rodon from Swansea.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a brilliant signing. Everyone's I didn't know too much about him pre all the rumors last week in the initial deadline day. And then obviously did a bit more research, had a lot more like Swansea fans and even just Welsh fans in general kind of send me DMs and messages basically informing me more about him. And from what I've heard, he's one of, if not the best centre-back in the Championship. So to secure him for 11 million, I think it was, is pretty nuts, considering we've got Tanganga out injured again. And like you said, Dyer withdrawn from England, potentially injured as well, only leaves us with Toby and Sanchez. And we can't have that going forward, because what if they get injured as well and we're left with no centre-backs? So
yeah, of course.
I think it's a brilliant, for the price, I think it's a fantastic signing. And then the other business we've done is mental. Reguilon, left back, took him from Man United, wanted him. He looked really good to start with. Doherty against Højbjerg against Man United was insane performance. So if he can keep that going, that's really good. And yeah, I think it's probably the best Spurs window I've seen in my life. If I'm being honest, like, yeah, it's the first time we've signed 7 players now, I think it is, but of top quality players that we needed. When we first sold Bale, we bought 7 players that the only one that ended up even being good was Eriksen. The rest of them were just extremely lackluster. It felt like it was
fill up the squad.
Yeah, it was kind of like, we got all this money, what do we do with it? And we just go and sign the first 7 players we could. And only one turned out ideal. Whereas now, with a manager like Mourinho, he's brought in, all players have got a winning mentality. The majority of them have won something before. I think Doherty's probably the only one that hasn't won something before. And I think he's just finally building a really, really good squad. And yeah, it's just been an insane window for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We can talk here. I've mentioned at the start of the programme that we were talking about the run of form that Tottenham have been in. And of course, the last Premier League game was a 6-1 victory against Man United at Old Trafford. It's unheard of. What was it about that day? Was it was it the team selection? Was it the formation? Is the Mourinho magic working? Or, was it a bad day at the office for Man United? As a Tottenham fan, what can West Ham fans expect, especially after that victory against United?
I mean, I think it's a combination of, well, Man United were really poor. I think they had a terrible day, and I think Maguire is proven to not be a great centre-back for Man United or England at the moment. So defensively, they've got massive issues. But I do also think every single team in the league, even like Liverpool's, Man City's, need to watch out for Kane and Son, because they were amazing before anyway, but something more has even clicked now with them two. And I don't know what's happened. They're just, Kane's like the top assister in the league at the moment. He could take De Bruyne's record for that assist this season. He's supposed to be the main striker.
Yeah, I think he's currently sitting on 6 assists, and Son's got 6 goals. Harry Kane backs him up with 3 goals as well. But I mean, there's no one else really close in terms of the assists.
Exactly.
It's frightening, yeah.
It's unbelievable what those two are doing. And then the even more frightening thing is the fact that we're adding Bale to the mix as well. And that could be our front three. Is just, obviously we'll find out in this game or maybe the Europa League game, depending on how much game time Bale does get. But I genuinely think we've got the best front three now in the Premier League with those three. Because with Liverpool, I think Mane, Salah, world class, but I think Kane has a massive edge over Firmino. Son, arguably one of the best wingers in the league, and now you add in Bale, a world-class winner, was top 3 next to Ronaldo and Messi not too long ago. So it's a lot to look forward to, and I think this game's going to have a lot of goals this weekend because, like I said, both teams very, very much in form right now. So
absolutely, like both teams on form. You know, one thing we know, and we'll talk about West Ham in a minute, is the fact that West Ham do concede goals, but currently, in order for West Ham to win games, we need to outscore our opposition. And you know, there's not many teams that will come up against teams like Leicester and Wolverhampton Wanderers and score 7 goals against the two sides and concede any. Matt, you know, with your opinion on Spurs, you know, and especially in those signings, what's your kind of thoughts leading into this game about and in particular about the business that Spurs have done and Mourinho?
Oh, they have done some serious business. Let's not beat around the bush. Like they arguably have the best window in the league. You know, I think Everton did some fantastic business with their centre mids, but I spoke about earlier about yesterday we didn't fill the gaps we needed in the window. We brought in Benrahma, but we've still got gaps. Mourinho not only filled the gaps they had, he brought in first-team quality players to fill those gaps. You know, Reguilon feels like less than, was it 25 million? It was mental. He was the best left-back in the league last year.
Yeah.
And they got him for a snip, realistically, for what he is. You know, bringing Bale back, again, you know, he said as well, he's come back, he wants to enjoy playing football again. He was not enjoying his football in Real Madrid, and at the end of it, it was sad to see the way it finished. But let's not forget the fact, the guy went there and, won 3 Champions Leagues? And scored the winning goal in 2 of them.
Yeah.
The guy is world class. Kane is finally getting his form, and with Son as well. You know, and they brought in Højbjerg to sort up the midfield. You looked at the game against Man United. Yes, Man United were poor, but Tottenham were like absolutely lethal.
Yeah.
The pace and the technique they've got is frightening.
I think that's the main thing for us is that we saw from the Newcastle game the week before that we had all the shots in the world, but weren't converting our chances. And it felt like almost all of a sudden the players just now know what they need to do to then get the goals, because we then entered a week where we had 3 games. Carabao Cup, we thought we were just like, that was a throwaway. We thought, all right, if we lose to Chelsea, whatever, that's not the main focus because Mourinho is going all in on the Europa League, I feel like. And then obviously you've got Man United away coming up in the league. It's 3 massive games in 1 week. And yet we looked at the Newcastle one and was like, right, what do we need to do? Score more. What do we go and do? Scored 14 goals in 1 week. And then won all 3 games. And it's like, I think we're finally getting that winning mentality that we didn't really have before. I think Mourinho...
And do you think that comes from Mourinho then, George?
I think so, because it's the fact that the majority of the players, obviously the same as last season, you've got players like Aurier and Ben Davies who weren't really performing that well at all last year. I think Ben Davies always gave kind of average performances, but never outstanding. And then I think a lot of the signings we've done would never have happened if it wasn't for Mourinho. And you can tell, like I said before, every signing he's made, almost all of them have won something before, or they've at least got the mentality that they're going to give everything for the team. And that's kind of worked well and built towards that mentality of the club. And now you're seeing like players like Kane and Son just absolutely making sure they're being clinical to help us win every single game coming up. And as well as that, I don't think any other manager would have been able to bring in Bale and Reguilon like we did, because we weren't interested in a left back whatsoever. I think we were happy with Ben Davies playing left back and Sessegnon developing as a left back from left wing. We then lose the first game to Everton, and Davis had a stinker that game, like one of the worst games I think I've ever seen him play. And then all of a sudden, a few days later, he's like, right, what do we need? We need to fix this ASAP. Let's get a left back and let's bring a world-class player in that the whole club loves. And we did that in a week after losing that first game. And I think that's just kind of switched everything, because now Ben Davies has got more assists than he had in the past 2 seasons in 36 minutes, because he now has competition. Auria's actually keeping Doherty out the team now in the past couple of games because he's performing better. And it's just like, I don't know, it's everything just seems to come together so nicely.
Am I correct in saying as well, Aurier made his debut against West Ham and had a nightmare of a debut? Did he not get sent off or something as well? Did he not?
Yeah, I think we won the game in the end, if I'm not mistaken. But it was like, it was just, he was just known for his just rash tackles in defence. Like
but he's really kind of come out of his shell and shown really his quality player, that he is a quality player. Let's have a look at the kind of recent form between the two clubs. This is West Ham against Tottenham. So it shows up a loss would be a West Ham loss and a Tottenham victory, of course. So, you know, the last time out West Ham that won a game was that first game for you guys at your new stadium, which was a fantastic day out for all West Ham fans, and the famous Antonio celebration.
Oh God, that haunts my nightmares. That celebration does.
Yeah, I know. But listen, I mean, you know, coming from a Tottenham fan, what you know, looking in upon West Ham, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. What's your opinion on the West Ham situation? And what, like, looking in as an outsider, and also, how do you think Mourinho is going to set up against West Ham?
So for that first question, I thought you guys were in a lot of trouble, because I was watching a lot of teams like preseason, and I saw your preseason games, and I was just watching the way you were playing. I was like, they look like, honestly, I thought you looked terrible in preseason. I was like, oh, here we go. Finally, maybe they'll actually eventually get relegated, like I was hoping for, which didn't happen last year. But then all of a sudden, like, obviously the league comes around and you guys are smashing it. Like Antonio, obviously, like doing what Antonio does. I've always rated him as a player. I hate the fact that he always scores against Spurs and has an incredible game against Spurs. I hate it, but him as a person, I can understand how good he is. But it seems to be good for you guys that Bowen seems to be showing up the past few games as well.
Yeah.
And
what do you think, like, in terms of like Mourinho? How do you think Mourinho is going to come into this game? You know, you're on fire, you're on confidence.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, you know, if as a West Ham fan talking to a Spurs fan, I could easily say that at the start of the season, the starting 11 that West Ham are putting out week in and week out, Matt, you'll probably agree this would not been on paper the starting 11 that West Ham fans probably would have chosen. Am I correct in saying that, Matt?
No, we wouldn't have. No.
So in actual fact, you know, we had record signings playing in our second string team, and now we've popped off Felipe Anderson over to Porto and Portugal, and Haller can't start, and he's 45 million quid sitting on the bench, cannot get onto the park. He's got 5 goals this season and still can't get ahead of Antonio. But how do you think Mourinho is going to set up against a confident West Ham?
This is a tough one, because obviously Mourinho has a big focus on making sure your defense is top class, and I think we saw that in like the All or Nothing series that came out on Amazon. Pretty much everything was about it. Okay, I think there's a bit of a misconception, because everyone thinks it's just totally just defensive football. We're going to sit back and park the bus. It's not quite that. It's been very counter-attacking, but he just always makes a point of, first things first, you do not concede goals. And obviously we've seen that West Ham are in great form in the amount of goals that they're scoring. So I think the first things first, I think he's going to make sure that we're quite defensively sound, which is why I think he would choose Doherty over Aurier for this game. Just because Aurier likes to bomb. I know Doherty does as well, but I think Aurier can be a bit of a liability on the defensive side of things. And Doherty's a bit bigger as well. So I can see it being very counter-attacking. And I think for both teams, it's going to be the case of who can outscore the other. Because I don't think either team has the most amazing defense. We've obviously improved this. It improved with the window, but we've still conceded goals. So I think the idea is to defend solid and then counter-attack with the pace of Son and Bale is what I imagine is what it's going to be like.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we ask you for your predictions, George, you know, who's your man that you fear the most from West Ham, and also the man that West Ham should fear the most from Tottenham?
Like I said, it's got to be Antonio. The guy just doesn't. He does not. He just scores every single game against Spurs. So it feels like, at least anyway. And like you said, that celebration haunted my that's in my nightmares from now on, like my dreams.
What where he grabs the fake ball and humps it?
Yeah. I can't be proud of that. It's awful. I think he's one to look out for. He's definitely a big aerial threat as well, which we've struggled with so far. That's pretty much where we've conceded a lot of our goals. It's almost lucky that Dyer is out, actually, because a lot of the aerial threats have been a failure on Dyer's part against Everton and Southampton. So hopefully we do better on that front. But a player you guys would have to watch out for, I'm trying to think of, I don't want to just go for like a standard Son Kane. I'm trying to think like outside the box. I've got to say Tongbjorn Ndombele. We had news that Lo Celso's injured, so he won't be playing. So Ndombele should be playing attacking mid for us. He is a player that I've rated for a long time. Obviously, didn't have an amazing first season for us, with a lot of fans wanting to get rid of him already, being a record signing. I was like, no, hold on. Let's see if we can change it a bit. And he started off the season amazingly well and is looking so much better and looking like the record signing we wanted. So I definitely think he has the ability to totally control the midfield with his skill and ability to drag the ball forward and take the ball forward. So I think he's definitely the one player you guys should definitely watch out for. Like on the
I think this is definitely going to be an interesting game, though. I mean, we'll talk about West Ham in a minute, like we said, Matt, but we've got really, I would say our biggest strength is probably in our two midfield players with Souček and Declan Rice, and that's where we've won the battles over the last couple of games against Wolves and Leicester. You know, we've tactically, Matt, we stopped them from playing the game that they are designed to play, which is ball to feet. They literally didn't know what to do, because those two players in particular were literally at the other players' feet, etc. So I do think, like, I'm coming across like I'm being extremely confident, but I'm also wary of being too confident, because we are West Ham. We have come off two fantastic victories, and we just don't know, because we're such an inconsistent side, what West Ham will turn up. Matt, any last points before we ask George for his predictions?
I think you're right on the midfield. I think it's going to be a hard game because Højbjerg's a quality midfielder as well.
Yeah,
and I think the midfield is going to win the game. But you might see it's going to be a team of who can counter attack the other team, because it's Moyes and Mourinho have got very similar tactics in the way that George said. It's don't get beat and then build forward from there.
Yeah,
and that's how we've improved this season. As Moyes has done the same thing. So it's going to be. It's either going to be a ridiculously high-scoring game, or it's going to be a horrible, drab, boring 0-0.
Yeah, definitely feels like that.
And the winning mentality is right, because I remember seeing on the Amazon documentary the way that he just dealt with Danny Rose, and like he's not in the Premier League squad this year, is he? He
hasn't been given a number, so I don't know, and I don't even think he got a move away.
He didn't. He's just
I don't know. He's just sitting there. They're literally
sitting there now. Is he trading with the reserves or something? Like, you know, I think, like, you need to go.
I'm pretty sure they sent him to like the under 23s or something like that, and he's just there permanently now. So,
but like you said, Mourinho was like, "You're not good enough. Get out. You've not got the mentality we want. You're not winning. You're not doing well." And I see, Danny Rose winning and was not happy about it, but he's gone, no, get rid of him, and it's bringing that mentality back to Spurs that you've got to be a winner. You can't just kick up a fuss and be a prima donna and get what you want, and it's working for Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like that because obviously, like, we've been, apart from last season, we've obviously been playing amazingly well before that, and just not not winning anything. We didn't get past that last hurdle, and quite rightly, what Mourinho said is we were too nice. We were too nice. We would let other teams, like the other big teams, like kind of bully us in the big games. Whereas now I feel like we're that team. We're going into like the Man United games, and obviously Lamella's pulling off these kind of a bit theatrical to win the penalty, but that's just kind of stuff that we would never do before. But Mourinho knows how to win a game now.
A bit theatrical?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little.
He might have won a Tony Award for that, but
we've got players that have all been there and done that. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, George, before you go, what's your predictions for the game Sunday, tomorrow?
I think it's. I can't see it not being a high scoring game. Like you said, I've said that now. It's going to be 0-0 now that I've said that. But I'm to be honest, I'm really confident in how we're playing recently in the squad that we've built. So, and especially because we're at home, without the away fans is a plus. I'd say probably 3-1 Spurs win. I'd like to say. I would love Bale to get on the score sheet on his debut. I'd love that to happen, but it kind of all depends if he's going to start or not.
I think that'd be a banker for a bet for anyone. Bale to score at any time.
Bale to score against West Ham has to be, surely.
Bale and Antonio to score anytime.
Oh, yeah, that would be easy money.
Listen, George, mate, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it,
guys. Guys, go and check out his channel. And do you know what? You don't have to be a Spurs fan because he just does so much interesting stuff. You're doing really well, mate. The channel doing really well, so well done and all that. And hopefully we'll have you back on later in the season, especially when it's West Ham going for a double over Tottenham.
Oh yeah, we'll see about that one. We'll see about that one. No, I appreciate you guys for having me on, and just keep doing it. If you're obviously watching this, subscribe to them as well. So.
Yeah, of course, mate. Thank you very much for joining us, mate. And myself and Matt will go off and talk about the West Ham world, the West Ham way. So take it easy, mate. Thank you.
Enjoy. Thank you very much, guys.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Right, Matt. So it's interesting, isn't it? Just to always see, the opposition point of view, etc. But it's time to talk about West Ham, isn't it? And you've done a really long stream yesterday when you were trying to announce the one player that West Ham signed that we actually we got over the line finally, and it's Saeed Benrahma. He's actually officially a West Ham player, but he's not going to make the squad for the game tomorrow because he was signed after the deadline, which was midday, in order to be in the squad. So he's on loan. But what we have got is new signing Craig Dawson is training with the side, and he's doing really well, mate. He's doing really well in his training facility, etc. Talk to me about the very briefly, mate. Talk to me about the transfer window.
Some people, the problem is, right, and they know exactly what they're doing. Bringing in Benrahma for Golden Sullivan was a PR masterstroke. Because everyone was up in arms about selling Diangalo, and all pundits would go, yeah, look, but you brought in the guy that was linked with a £40 million move to Chelsea. But we didn't bring in the players we needed, which we always do. This is like Bilic all over again when he wanted Carvalho. You've brought in a player that he didn't want or need.
Yeah.
But it's a big, attractive name. Don't get me wrong. I'm great. It's going to be here. It's exciting. He's going to be a fantastic player. We needed a centre mid. We needed a left back. Didn't bring either in. We only brought in Kufal because Souček was like, yeah, he needs to look at this guy. He's a good right back. And Frederick has always gets injured. I'd give it a C. If he's giving it a rating, maybe like a C+.
Yeah.
I think we was one or two. I'd say we're probably at least two signings short of what we needed.
Yeah.
I think we needed another midfielder and a left back, but Coventry's in the squad. Like he's been around the first team, so maybe he's going to fill in that centre mid position.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. There's a lot of chat about obviously Coventry potentially making this, maybe having to make the step up over the next little while, because obviously we haven't really brought in a cover for that area. But I mean, let's not forget though. Let's not genuinely forget the Declan Rice and obviously Mark Noble partnership. And Mark Noble's still there, mate. He's not going to be starting the game on Sunday, but these are the sort of games that gets Mark Noble riled up. And well, I don't know, mate. Can you see him even having any form of appearance on Sunday?
Yes. If we're winning with about 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
I could see him taking off one of the attacking players and putting Mark Noble in to buff up the midfield.
Yeah.
But I think he knows as well now. He knows he's 33, going 34 this season. Like, he knows and don't forget as well, he's been in the first team since he was 16. So he's done 17 years of first team football. So he knows full well that his time's winding down. But is he in the last year of his contract?
Yeah.
So potentially this is his swan song season. I hope it's not, but it's up to him. Does he want to go and get a couple of years in the sun in America?
Yeah.
Or does he want to just accept that he's in the squad rotation role and nurture the kids? And then come back in 2 years, 3 years' time, and then be part of the coaching staff. It's up to him. But I think he knows in his heart of hearts that he won't be the star anymore. And I think he's happy with that.
Yeah.
I think he's happy to let Rice be the captain. A lot of teams now have like the old steward that's the club captain and not the first team captain. And I think that's Mark Noble's position now, as he is man on the bench to come on and do a job for 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. And he's the club captain. But on match days, when we had that starting 11 at the moment, Declan Rice is the captain.
But you need to remember though, Matt, as well, like we are one injury or one suspension away from Mark Noble starting week in and week out. So it's I think fans thinking that Conor Coventry is going to come in and take over that spot. I mean, he's
no, I'd like to see it, but I don't think you'll see it yet.
No, I don't think we will see it, mate. But listen, I mean, we've got a resurgence. You know, we've brought in Ben Rama, but that maybe puts a little bit of pressure onto some of the other players in the side. You know, we've got some of the images here from training today. I think West Ham have pretty much got a full squad to choose from. I think Masuaku took a knock against the Dominican Republic of Congo, but he pulled out of the squad in preparation for the Premier League fixture. Yarmolenko's there, Lanzini's there, Antonio's back, Sebastian Hiller's back. Fredericks is back training again as well. So he's got a full squad to choose from, Matt. I mean, with the signing of Ben Rama, and we'll talk about that another day, but whose position is he looking at, really? And who can you see him taking over? I know this game's about Sunday, but who's going to be looking over their shoulders, looking at Ben Rama thinking, oh, he's coming after my position?
Well, we spoke about this in the stream because I think it was Stel was interacting in the comments because he's in Cyprus was awful. We couldn't get him on, and he raised the question that to me and Sess were doing it into the chat saying who would he replace, and I think almost 100% the consensus is that he would take Fornal's spot, which would then free up Fornal's to possibly move into centre mid, so you could see him at centre mid in front of Noble.
Yeah.
Because, you know, with Fornals, you've seen, don't forget, he isn't a winger. He was a number 10.
Yeah.
But he's proven in his time on the wing that he can be defensive. He does track back. He can be disciplined. And if he can do that on the wing, then he can do it in the middle.
Yeah.
So it could almost become that if you want to play three in the midfield, you play Fornals. And if you need, you know, extra legs in midfield, you want to shore up the defence, you don't bring on Noble, you bring on Fornals and make it a 5-man midfield. But I think he'll be going for Fornal's spot because he is a winger.
Yeah.
You know, and he does play off the left wing most of the time. But I don't think he should walk straight in. I think Fornals has earned enough to keep his spot at the moment, even though he's playing that position on the wing.
Absolutely. But then again, this game is going to be a telling game as well. It's like about consistency. West Ham have come off, obviously, a good run of form, 7 goals scored. 0 goals conceded, but we've coming up against Tottenham, and as George said, mate, they've got Son, Kane, and the potential of Bale. I mean, that's frightening. And how will West Ham's defence going to cope with that?
They're going to cry. They're not going to cope. No, it's a back five, isn't it? And this might be one of the games when it actually is a back five, rather than the 3 centre backs and the 2 wing backs. You might see a proper solid flat back five.
Yeah.
Because the way we done it, and most of the way we done it against Leicester, is don't let them pass through the midfield. And don't play a high line. Don't give them the room because that's what Bale wants, and that's what Son wants. That's what Lamella wants. That's what Bergwijn wants. I don't know which ones are going to play. I think it's getting nailed on to be Kane and Son, but the other one, I mean, I don't think Bale's going to start by the sounds of it. So he might come off the bench. So I don't know if that means it's Lamella or Bergwijn, but they want the space in behind. They want the room to run into.
Yeah.
So your first and foremost option is play that back 3 or back 5 sits deep.
Of course,
with two in front of them protecting them, and that's how you're going to have to try and play it.
But we didn't.
How Tottenham play.
Yeah, and of course we brought in. You know, I know we brought in Dawson on loan, etc. But we've got a resurgence of Balbuena. You know, he's been playing really well the last couple of games. He's going to keep his space. I mean, let's get down and dirty. Let's have a look at our starting 11 before we start looking at our number 1 to 11. Get your comments in below and let us know who you would like to start against Tottenham. We could kind of make this bit easy though, Matt, for everyone, because do you really see it being unchanged?
Yes. Short answer, yes. I think the old adage of any manager is that you don't change a winning team. Like, you don't. And in fairness, until someone does something wrong to warrant not being in the team, you can't. If you reward playing well with bringing someone straight back in that's not played, that's been out of the team, then what does that really set for the rest of the team? You know, if Diop walks straight back in after Balbuena has played in the back four, the back 5, should we say, that's had no goals against Leicester and Wolves, who are really, you know, Champions League chasers, how does it look to the rest of the team? And you go, oh yeah, Balbuena played really well. He had them 2 games with clean sheets. Oh, but Diop's back, just drop him. Like, it doesn't set a good precedent for the team. So for me, I don't think you do change your team. I think if everyone's fit and available, which by sounds of it everyone is, I think the same at starting 11. The bench might change. I think, was Wilshere on the bench for the last game? And then he's been released.
Yeah.
I think Cullen was been on the bench this season. He's gone.
Yep.
So there's spots available on the bench, but I think the first 11 have earned their right and they'll keep it until something changes.
Yeah, absolutely. So get your comments in. Let us know if you'd like to see any changes. But let me just remind you, Benrahma cannot start or even be involved in the squad. He never signed for West Ham in time to be put into the matchday squad. So Benrahma won't travel, in case anyone's watching and thinking, oh, why are you not talking about him? We'll talk about him in a separate video. But it's going to be a tough day at the office, but let's not, butter around it. We also thought the Leicester and the Wolves games were going to be tough days at the office, and look at the performance that West Ham turned out. But I mean, the resurgence and Antonio is he's just absolutely on fire, mate, and he's keeping our record striker Sebastian Haller on the bench. He's got 5 goals, mate, so far this season. Let's have a look at the 2 of them. You were talking earlier on or yesterday about the podcast that Antonio was on, and he was talking about the changes that David Moyes has helped him make. He's given him a lot of plaudits, hasn't he?
To be fair, Antonio did. I haven't seen the whole thing yet, and I'm actually now going to go back and find it. But I saw clips of it, and one thing that did big clip that did big on the rounds on Twitter was this one where he said about and Fen was like, why does it click so much playing centre forward? And Antonio was like, I've always played an attacking player. I've always scored goals. He goes, but, it's his hold-up play that's come into play. And he said, Moyes has told me, standard line with the ball. That's maybe it's the mobility. It's the mobility across the front that's giving him in front of Haller at the moment, because it's his stamina and his pace and ability, because he's literally following the ball across the width of the pitch, no matter where he's up front, how far up front he is. So, it's seen in goals we've scored. You look at the goal we scored against Leicester when he won the free kick. That ball went to Balbuena almost in right back, and he played a ball straight down the line to Antonio to win the free kick. And if you go back as far as last year, or last season, should we say, in the Project Restart, we have the winning goal against Chelsea. Whether Declan Rice meant it or not, he just kicked that ball down the line. I don't know if he picked it because he wasn't looking, whether he looked before or not, and it went down the line to Antonio, who was in line with the ball. Yeah. And it's something that sounds so simple, but it has changed his game because the ball is now finding him.
But it's funny though, Matt. When I heard that as well, it was interesting. If you go back to watching West Ham play, what you saw from West Ham was a static forward line. Now, the fact that Antonio does move in line with the ball all the time, it causes utter chaos sometimes in that defence, because the defence have to consistently talk and go, have you got him? Have you got him? Have you got him? And they won't man mark him if he's doing that, if he's following that ball in the line. So he's not staying out to the right, he's not staying out to the left, but he's switching any time the ball. And that's why he's knackered pretty much all the time. But he's withstanding the pace and handling the game, and he's staying there for the full time pretty much. But he is causing them concern. And his hold-up play, he's always had his hold-up play. But, each time the ball comes to him, he looks behind him as a different defender, and he's like, I fancy this one now. I fancy that one now. Do you get me? And then, let alone having the ability of Bowen on one wing and the potential of Benrahma carving through, penetrating balls, it's quite, the forward attacking, it's quite exciting.
Well, that is the thing, isn't it? I mean, if you go back and look at there's teams we always hate playing, right? And it was a Watford or a Bournemouth or Southampton, and it's the players that have players that do that, like a Shane Long does the same thing. You watch teams play us, and they clear balls, and it goes over the fullback.
Yeah.
And like you say, last year, Haller and before Project or Antonio, they'd be static, in the width of say the centre circle. Yeah. And ball go down the corner, and you're like, well, no one's there. Whereas now, with Antonio following the ball, it always gives you the option of that. Even if he doesn't win it, they're not constantly recycling it. They've got to battle him to win the ball back to go again. And like, you know, he's not an easy one to kick off the ball, is he? He's a big old lamp, Antonio, and with the pace and power he's got, it worries defenders.
Yeah. Yeah. No, sorry, I just seen your face there. You looked a bit concerned.
Sound. It was a sound. I don't know if that was my headset or yours. It's a horrible sound I just heard in my headset.
It's going to be an interesting game. We do think there's going to be it's going to be a high scoring game. We are live. Please make sure your comments are coming in, of course. It's back to that interesting time, but before we do go to that, predictions, make sure you keep your predictions coming in the comments. We'll engage with the comments as well. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Make sure you do leave a comment, and of course, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Tomorrow we will be coming to you with a match day live against Tottenham Hotspur, so please join us on the channel tomorrow. We'll try our best to just bring you as much banter as we possibly can, so please come and join us on the channel for our match day live. There is not going to be a West Ham Weekly on Sunday night because we have the game, of course, on Sunday night. So there'll be a review directly after the game. And because Stell's on holiday, I think I'm going to take up the duty of trying to do his West Ham Weekly on Monday night. No,
you got some big boots to fill there, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a lot of info, a lot of homework. But, you know, it could be a little a West Ham Weekly mini, we might call it. A West Ham Weekly mini. We'll see.
You mean you're not going to go like 3 hours like Stell does?
I just don't think I've got it in me anymore, to be honest. You done, what did you do? But, well, the whole show was 4 hours, but you've done a good solid 3.5 of them, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. But listen, it's predictions. Let's get on to our predictions. But before we do that, though, again, I know I keep saying that. Let's have a look at the recent history of between, you know, the last 6 years against Tottenham Hotspur. You know, that victory at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the 27th of April 2019 was a great day out and a great day to be a West Ham fan with Antonio scoring that goal. And then obviously the League Cup victory over Spurs. Was that the Ravel Morrison one? No, that wasn't.
No, that was the Ogbonna one.
That was the Ogbonna one, sorry, at Wembley. Yeah, it was. 2017 was Lanzini. 2016 was
Antonio. That was last one at Upton Park, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then 2014. So the Ravel
that
Morrison
might have been Ravel Morrison one.
No, I think
that was a 3-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was away from home actually as well. Yeah,
before that, yeah.
So, you know, looking at that, you know, we've not got the best of records against Tottenham Hotspur, but what is your predictions, Matt, for tomorrow's game against Spuds?
As I said with George, it's either going to be a 0-0 or goals galore. So I can't go for a 0-0 because that's just a boring result. I'm going to go for a 3-2 West Ham win.
Oh, I swear to God, it's like we read each other's minds. But I think every other West Ham fan does the exact same. I should go first sometimes, but
just screw me over and let me pick something else.
Yeah. No, I think it's. You know what? You've probably hit the nail on the head. I'm actually just going to join you. I don't want to be a little bit different, but I think it's going to be a 3-2 victory to West Ham as well. So make sure you keep your predictions coming in on the comments. We'll definitely engage with it. Matt, for tomorrow's game, who's the man you fear the most from Tottenham?
If he doesn't start, if Bale doesn't start, I'll say Son.
I'll say Son. Yeah,
that guy is. He's one of the top wingers in the league, hands down. But I do fear Bale because it's just it's written in the stars, isn't it? It's a fantasy fairy tale thing of Bale coming back to Tottenham 7 years later after he's gone to conquer all of Europe and the world, and it'd be written for him to, you know. I've still got that. He spoke about that goal, didn't he? The one at Upton Park when he banged it in the top corner and Jaskalainen got nowhere near it.
I mean, I've got an image of it, and it pains me to bring it up. I was at the game.
That one, yeah.
And
was that a last minute winner?
Yeah,
and it's got that written all over it. That's what I worry about is Bale just popping up and scoring a worldie in the last minute.
Yeah, but listen, you know, we've got to have a bit of faith in our midfield. You know, Souček, Rice, Bowen, etc. The tracking back, the hard work rate that Fornals has been showing a lot recently in tracking back and closing down and putting the pressure on Tottenham. And that's the thing, as long as West Ham can go with the proper game plan and West Ham can press from the off, because that's what teams don't expect when they come up against West Ham, is a pressing West Ham, confident from the off. They fully kind of expect West Ham to sit back, and that's exactly what we didn't do against Leicester and Wolves, and hence the reason we could turn up on the day. And we stopped Leicester. Listen, we're talking about a side, Matt, that scored more goals in their opening 3 games than any other side in the Premier League in Leicester. And we absolutely, wiped the floor with them. And then we came up against an extremely confident Wolves side, and we pretty much destroyed them, mate. I mean, there's no questions about it. We tactically beat them, we outperformed them, and we outwork rated them, and we've got that potential. And I know Tottenham were on a confident run, but so were Leicester, and that's something we've got to take some confidence from. So I'm going to join you in going for a 3-2 victory to West Ham. Who's the man that Tottenham should fear the most?
George said Antonio, but I would actually say Bowen. I think Bowen's in better form.
Yeah. I'm going to say Souček, mate.
I nearly said him, he was in my head, and I was like,
I think he's the sort of player that Tottenham fans would love.
Yeah.
He's the box-to-box midfielder that we've obviously been crying out for so long. I don't think they'll be able to handle his work rate. I don't think they'll be able to handle his ability to get forward, his aerial presence, his tackling ability, his closing down play. And on top of that, with Rice beside him, performing there left, right and centre, West Ham will be up for this. Every team's always up for any game left, right and centre. But, it's a London derby. It's always a little bit extra special. So yeah, we've just got to remain as confident as we possibly can. So that's been our preview, and just make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you get your comments in below. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Matt, any last parting words you want to say before we head?
Let's be positive. We're going for a win. It's another win against Tottenham.
Let's hope, mate. Let's hope. He's been Matt. Where is he? There he is there. I've been Anton. This is Irons United. Come on, you Irons.